Artur Pawlowski. Artur Pawlowski. Let me just go see if I can pull up the video of him being arrested. Just need to remind everybody who Artur, I know most people are going to remember, Get Out. Yeah, I think we can do, which one can we do here? We'll do this one. Let me just get to, we'll pull up the Get Out, and then we're going to read the terms of his initial release. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Here we go. Here we go. This part here. Boom. Have to pull it up from Fox News because it's tough to find the original version. Once the government starts suppressing videos on YouTube that's not sufficiently Canadian content, good luck trying to find stuff. Here, let's do this here. Once the government starts playing with algorithms or forcing, well, I mean, they already play with the algorithms anyhow, but once they start forcing social media platforms to tinker with search results, what do you think is going to happen? Share it.
Of this property, immediately get out. Get out of this property immediately. Out. I don't want to hear anything. Out.
They just want to talk. They just want to talk.
I don't want to hear a word. Out. Out. Out of
We
this
just want to talk.
Immediately until you come back with a warrant.
He called them Nazis.
Preach it, preacher man.
I don't know if you heard that part, but yeah, he called them Yahtzees. And by the way, they just wanted to talk. They just wanted to talk, which was to serve him with a judgment enjoining him from carrying out one of his constitutional rights, freedom of religion. And then they arrested him. Pushing one group down while propping up another, I think, is repressive tolerance. Marcuse wrote about it. Sounds good. Sounds logical as well. And then we have, oh, I didn't do the disclaimers. YouTube takes 30% of super chats. If you don't like that, we are simultaneously simultaneously streaming on Rumble. Rumble has a Rumble rants, which they take 20%, yada, yada, yada. If you want to support the channel, thank you very much. If you don't want to, or you want to on another platform, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. And no legal advice, no medical advice, no election fortification undermining the sanctity of, infallible elections advice. So, Pawlowski, that video went viral, telling them, get out, get out, get out. And at the time, not that I'm prophetic, and I've made a number of predictions that have not come to fruition. It just makes me feel smarter to focus on the ones that did come to fruition, even if they are bad ones. I said, yeah, everyone was like, yeah, this is how you do it. This is how you fight the power. And I was like, dude, they're going to come back. They're going to come back with a warrant, and they're going to come back angrier than they did before. Because, they're polite. And they were polite when they arrested him. And they were polite when they sentenced him. And they were polite when they cuffed him on the side of the street. But I said, this was not a victory. They're just going to come back. And they're going to come back with more force than the time they came before. And they did. Then they arrested him. Then they put him in jail. And then they released him. Let me pull up the article about the terms of his release, which I went over at the time. They released him from jail. Canadian judge. Oh, we're going to go back to Fox News, but I don't think we're going to be able to see this. Maybe we will. How do I expand this? If I go like this, no, not working. How do I turn this? Can I go like that? Oh, how about this? No, still not working. Well, I don't think you'll be able to see this, but the terms of Artur Pawlowski's release, as determined by the judge, a requirement that during the period of his probation, this is coming from the judge, terms of release for Artur Pawlowski, when publicly speaking against AHS, which is Alberta Health Services, health orders and health recommendations, that he indicate the following: qualified speech provisions. I am aware that the views I am expressing to you on this occasion may not be views held by the majority of medical experts in Alberta. While I may disagree with them, I am obliged to inform you that the majority of medical experts favor social distancing, mask wearing, and avoiding large crowds to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Most medical experts also support participation in a vaccination program unless for a valid religious or medical reason you cannot be vaccinated. Vaccination to save lives and to reduce the severity of COVID-19. This was imposed on Artur Pawlowski under the terms of his release. It's qualified. It's qualified speech. You could, when you are exercising your free speech, Mr. Pawlowski, here's what you also have to say. No, qualified. I mean, this Artur Pawlowski story, and you know, whether or not he's hyperbolic, whether or not he's out there. First of all, where's he from? Poland. I'll take it from someone who grew up and raised and fled Poland to identify communism when they see it. You know, when I was documenting the protests, and I couldn't understand. I mean, I couldn't understand for like 30 seconds. I saw a lot of Hungarians. I saw a lot of Polish people. I saw a lot of Polish people. A lot of Eastern Bloc. I didn't know what the flag was at first. I thought it was a Honduran flag for some reason. I noticed a lot of flags. I was like, why is this flag in particular here? I was told while I was live streaming, it's the flag of Hungary. Why Hungary? Well, they've seen this happen in real time. They've seen it, and so Hungarian immigrants, Hungarian Canadians can see. Poles sounds insulting, and so does Polacks, but I don't know. I don't know anymore. A lot of Croatians. That's correct. A Croatian flag I was familiar with, but they've seen it. They've seen it develop in real time. They know what it smells like. Anecdote. Story time. Once upon a time, my parents' house had a fire, and it was being redone. It was burnt and flooded, and it had to be basically gutted. There was a freezer in the basement that had a lot of meat in it, because at the time it was still a big family, but at the time there was a big family living in the house, and stockpiling meat. And the freezer had remained plugged in throughout this event until, for whatever the reason, the circuit broke. And it was summer, and it had gone for a couple of weeks before anybody realized, until someone walked into the house and I smelt it, because it's like that episode of SNL where there's like they're at a dinner table and someone pours a rotten glass of chunky milk and like, oh my God, this is terrible, and everybody has to taste it. Well, I had to smell what this smelled like, and I had to see it. And you walk into the house, and it had what can only be described as like a sweet smell of rot or a sweet smell of death. And it got more and more pungent as you got closer to the freezer. And I opened up the freezer. And if you can imagine, the breaker had broken or something where it wasn't refrigerating, but it was still circulating hot air into the fridge. And there was a lot of meat that had rot. And it was repulsive. It was repugnant. It got into your clothes, into your skin. And until you smell that, you cannot imagine what it smells like. So I suspect, because I've never smelt communism. I've never smelt a country go from Venezuela 30 years ago to Venezuela 30 years less a day. I've never smelt a country go from a free country to a totalitarian regime. I don't know what it smells like. I can imagine. I can probably describe it the way others have described it to me, but I don't know what it feels like or smells like. I would argue until now. So when Hungarians are sitting there saying this is what it looks like, and they're the ones protesting, when a Polish pastor is using the Yahtzee word, I'm going to leave it up to him to know what he's talking about. When a judge in Canada, who, by my understanding, has never experienced anything of what Artur Pawlowski has experienced, when he's telling this pastor, you have no business using that word here. It's terrible. It's offensive. And we live in a free country. When the man who fled communism to come to Canada lived here and has seen Canada go from what it used to be to what it is today, when he starts using that word, I'm going to trust that person's judgment more than a judge who has never experienced it. You may find it offensive. You may not like it. But I'm going to trust Pawlowski's determination, having experienced it, more than someone else who has never experienced it. What was I just talking about? So Pawlowski gets arrested. They come back and they arrest him. And I think I just closed that article down. So whatever. They arrested him, and then they arrested him again for breaking the terms of his release. I want to see if I had the article up. I'm going to bring this one up. They arrested him again for violating the terms of his parole, and I believe it was as relates to statements he made about the Coutts blockade. We'll see if we've got the details in this article. This is from Calgary Herald 4 days ago. Street Church minister Artur Pawloski, I hope I didn't spell his name wrong, released on bail on charges unrelated to Coutts border blockade. On charges unrelated. Okay, let's see this. Crusader and Street Church minister Artur Pawloski was granted bail Wednesday on the last charges, keeping him behind bars pending trial. Okay, let's just get to this. We read that part. Provincial Court Judge Cheryl Daniel accepted a joint recommendation by defense. Wait until you hear the terms of his re-release, but I want to find out what the charge is related to. So they're not related to Coutts. This is the other thing. If they don't get you on the substance, they get you on the process. The process is the punishment. They can slap on the most frivolous charges on earth that the Crown has no chance of proving beyond a reasonable doubt. But they'll get you on a breach of bail conditions in the meantime. Provincial Court, she accepted a joint recommendation by defense lawyer Chad Haggerty and the Crown to release Pawlowski on charges that include allegations he twice breached court orders to abide by COVID-19 public health measures and caused a disturbance at a Shoppers Drug Mart. So the public health measures, I presume he violated, I don't know which of the requirements under his previous bail conditions, which imposed massive fines, compelled speech, which was subsequently overturned on appeal. Should very much specify that, which goes to show you how activist it was in the first place. A disturbance. I'd love to know what that disturbance was at a Shoppers Drug Mart. When bouncy castles and hot tubs is an insurrection and an occupation to overthrow the government, I'd love to know what a disturbance at a Shoppers Drug Mart was. I presume, I have no idea. I imagine it could have been refusing to wear a mask while he goes in. And by the way, from what I understand, the public health measures that he was accused of having violated, which brought him back to jail, have since been rescinded by the province, unless I'm mistaken. Yada, yada, yada. The prosecutor, appearing on behalf of his colleagues, who cares, said the Crown was consenting to Pawlowski's release on similar conditions imposed on the minister last week on charges related to the Coutts border blockade. Wow, they're just really, really going after this guy, because you have freedom of speech in Canada unless you say things the government doesn't like you saying. Pawlowski was ordered to post an additional $5,000 after Justice Galen Kendall said he could be freed on allegations he incited protesters to maintain the blockade during February 3 speech to protesters with conditions that he put up a cash deposit of $25,000. I would invite everyone out there to go see what the terms of release were of other criminals. I think the dude who ran over 4 people in Winnipeg, I think he posted a lot of money. I think. He incited protesters to maintain the blockade. This could be as egregious as you get out there and it doesn't matter what the police are saying, break the law, or it could be as simple as hold the line, which people have been interpreting to be incitements to commit mischief. Daniel also ordered Pawlowski's wife and adult son to provide sureties of $10,000 and $2,000 each, doubling the amounts Kendall said they would have to put at risk to gain his release. And by the way, it's going to be like $20,000 and $24,000 from the wife and son. And if Pawlowski is found to have breached his terms of release again, that's forfeited to the Crown. If Pawlowski breaches his conditions, which include nightly curfew of 7 to 7, with exceptions that include street church services, and that he may not attend any protests, they could be on the hook for $20,000 and $4,000 respectively. Oh, but by the way, he should be happy. He should say, "I love you, big brother. Thank you for giving me my freedom back. This is my freedom." Massive financial risk to abusive accusations of violating the terms of the release. Curfew 12 hours a day. But I love you, big brother. Thank you for letting me go out and conduct church, because that would be a bridge too far as conditions go. Last Friday, Kendall overturned a decision by Lethbridge Provincial Court detaining the minister pending trial on charges relating to Pawlowski's February 3 speech. I'd like to hear that speech. I'd like to hear if it contains anything that I, as an open-minded, fair-minded individual, would think rises to the level of criminality that could ever possibly justify this. Yada, yada, yada. The Crown said that Pawlowski posed an ongoing risk to the public to commit further offenses related to his opposition to COVID-19 public health measures. Imagine, just understand, people, what is being said here. Olson agreed with Crown Prosecutor Stephen Johnson that Pawlowski posed an ongoing risk to the public to commit further offenses related to his opposition of COVID-19 public health. Now, I have been a vocal proponent of this. Criticize, but don't go out there and deliberately break the law, the mandates, even if you think they should be broken, because you run the risk of bringing down the wrath of the entire system on you. Everyone out there that says, Viva, you're a hypocrite. You criticize the measures, but then you're wearing a face mask. You're ugly, your own face on your face mask indoors. You may not like my philosophy. I do not encourage anyone to go break the law, however stupid that law is, because it will only empower the powers that be to do exactly this. Make the most thorough example of you. They'll make a martyr of you to your followers, but they'll make an example of you to everyone else. Oh, a publication ban. Literally, this goes from bad to worse. While there was a publication ban imposed by Kendall at the review before her, which was requested by defense lawyer Sarah Miller. I wonder why. No such application was made before Olsen. In that hearing, Johnson showed a video of Pawlowski speaking to protesters near the Coots International crossing between Alberta and Montana. Oh, this is not from the speech. I have concluded that the Crown's grounds for seeking detention are substantial, and that there is a substantial likelihood that the accused will, if released from custody, continue on offending or interfering with the administration of justice. The accused's patterns of behavior speaks volumes about his willful commission of offenses. Bear in mind what the alleged offenses are, and his violations of court and public health orders. His conduct, if proven at trial, has contributed to enormous economic harm to local, provincial, and national economy and substantial community harm to ordinary citizens. They're doing it to protect you people. Anyways, so I guess, justice. Artur Pawloski has gotten, he's free now. He's free to leave his house from 7 to 7, with the exception of church. He's free to, when he leaves his house from 7 to 7, not attend any protests, have his speech restricted, have his movement. I don't know what the mobility movement restrictions are, but this is Canada. Can you imagine?